Welcome to another episode of God Yay or Nay. I'm Noor Kidwai, and today we got my man Marito Lopez. Marito, thanks for joining me, buddy.
Yeah. What's poppin', bro?
Wow, what's poppin'? What's poppin'? Just chilling, man. How you dealing with the quarantine? You doing alright?
Yeah, man. I'm just like I'm trying to take it one day at a time. Like I'm starting to miss outside. I'm starting to miss stand up and like everyday life. But I am taking like the benefits of quarantine, like being able to like work out and focus on yourself and like reading and learning and all that shit. So like I've been taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's one thing you need to do during this time, I think, is actually like focus on like some like self-development at least. Like I don't know, what else can you do, eh? It really sucks, especially because I think me and you both are just like such stand-up like nerds. We just love going out and trying to get better at stand-up. And now we just have that like one part of us that it's like kind of taken away. So yeah, I know what you're saying. Try to develop the rest of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been telling, I want to tell people, you've been releasing these blogs though since you started the quarantine. Were you releasing them before the quarantine? I know you've had a few blogs before that as well, right?
Yeah, like back in the day, like I would like try to put blogs up because I always loved writing and like literature and journalism and stuff like that, especially like hip hop magazines. I always wanted to do stuff like that, like write reviews about music or even touch on my life, like short stories, whatever. But you know how it is with stand up. Like once you do stand up, it's like if you really want to get good, all you can really focus on is stand up. So I found that like my writing always took the back burner, right? But now that we're in this like isolation, I'm like, oh fuck, I can practice my writing again. So
Yeah, no kidding.
I needed a creative outlet and the blog was like perfect because I get to stay home and write and edit and like just practice being creative without stand up.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, like I wanted to tell you, like yeah, your like writing's really like on point. That you can you put a lot of heart into it, and I think I can feel it through your writing. I love that shit. And you're yeah, man. You're very open about like talking about your like addictions and your recovery and stuff like that that's happened in your life. And I really wanted to kind of get you on the podcast to talk about that a bit. Do you mind maybe like giving my audience a little bit of a background from you and like maybe even up to the point where like we met in like Calgary and we got into comedy, like a little bit of your background?
Yeah, for sure, bro. And you knew me back in the day too. Like
Yeah.
you knew me back in the drinking days, bro.
Is that how you refer to it? The dirty days?
Yeah, dude, I was like a fucking wreck. But I remember Calgary was just like it was like a very hard community, a comedy community for like a guy like me to come up in, especially because like I'm very ego driven. You know what I mean? I'm very uh like I always want attention and like I always want to like come out on top. And in Calgary, it was tough for me because I got into comedy because it kept me away from drinking. Right, I got kicked out of university because I was like getting into too much trouble with booze. So I like latched on to comedy, like to give me something to do, like to pull me away from like the cycle of self destruction that I kept throwing myself into. And for the longest time, it was working because I was doing something that I was actually good at. Like I was getting on stage, and people were like, "Oh, like you have a talent," and that made me feel amazing. But it's you know how it is, bro. Like stand up is filled with booze.
Yeah.
So like, it didn't take long for booze to catch up with me there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I started drinking my face off, making an ass out of myself at shows, and like I would just build resentments. I would build resentments towards like the older white comedians that were like I always felt like they were assholes to me. I loved like even though they were my best friends, like Chris Griffin and like Doug Mutai, I always felt like they were getting more love than I was, and that was pissing me off because I'm like I'm just as funny as as they are, I'm even funnier than they are. Like that was my
It,
mind state, you know?
yeah. Dude, that was honestly a very similar mind state to me. I think when you're getting into comedy, a lot of those like resentments and jealousies kind of start creeping up, and you start going like, "Hey, what the fuck? Like, why aren't I getting this kind of love, right?" And
Yeah.
do you think that like influenced your drinking as well, or
Yeah. I feel like if you're an alcoholic or you're an addict, like the main thing that uh like fuels the self-destruction is always resentment, right? And it's like an excuse to self-destruct. Well, I'm gonna self-destruct because of this or because of that person or what this person did to me or what society did to me. Like it's always about resentment. You know what I mean? And like when you like when you escape that, then you look at like how weak and petty resentments are, and that's when like you find freedom because you're like, oh, that shit never mattered. You know what I mean? Like
oh
that shit
yeah.
was never like a thing that should have destroyed me. Cause bro, like I hate Calgary's stand-up community because I always felt like it was racist. I was like, hey, if you weren't liked by the older white comedians, then you weren't shit. And but that was like it was true to a point, but it wasn't everything. It wasn't the end all be all. And I tried to make it seem like it was like the universe was against me. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, man, like, yeah, there is some like racist dumbasses in Calgary, but it doesn't like it's no excuse to go drinking or to like ruin your career, right? Like it's about becoming better from it, like learning how to like shine no matter what. And like
Yeah.
that's what Toronto taught me. When I left Calgary, like Toronto helped me find my voice, like helped me find myself and sobriety, right? So, but even still, like Toronto has its like uh you know it makes you want to fucking snap, bro. Like Toronto,
I know, I
hey,
know.
bro, Toronto fucked me up, man. Right? Like we're from Calgary, bro. Like Calgary, I like when I think about how calm and nice Calgary is, like Toronto beast. Like Toronto will fuck you up.
Oh yeah, dude. The first year in Toronto fucked me up hard. I think the first year is always the hardest when you go to a new city, but it's like it's just so new, and you have like in Calgary is a small community. Now you go to Toronto, which is a huge comedy community. So now you're just a speck of dust. Nobody knows you, and now you're trying to get into so many different sub communities of the comedy community, and like nobody knows you. So it's like a constant game of like now you have to be constantly in people's faces and like reminding like yeah man it that I like struggled with a little bit of depression from moving to Toronto, and
Yeah,
all the stuff you talked about, resentments and jealousies and stuff with comedy. I think that's something a lot of like any kind of artist, and especially in comedy, we have to deal with. Like I know my thinking, like how you were saying, like sometimes
oh
you
yeah,
just think of other comics, and you would just be like, hey, why them, and like why not me, and you constantly start thinking that. But I remember like you have to break down that kind of resentment, eh? Because like you got to start like I remember seeing that, and then all of a sudden in my head I would be like, why is it like every time another comic comes around, I start getting jealous, and it's just like, no, this shit's just in my head. It's just a complete made up thing that I'm putting on myself. And then like how you said, resentment is such a weak, petty emotion that just takes you to self destruction, right?
yeah, 1,000. And bro, when I moved to Toronto, I thought that I was cured of jealousy. I thought that I was cured of like being envious or like worrying about petty shit like that, right? Because like of all the things I learned in rehab and like recovery and whatever. But then it came back. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then I hopeless. I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be a jealous, insecure person for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter where I go. But then the more and more I start like, especially during this quarantine, I start reading about it. It's like, yo, man, your own worst enemy is yourself. You know what I mean? We're always gonna have these negative things in our life. That's just life. We're always gonna suffer. We're always going to experience pain, depression, whatever it may be. But like the beauty of life is learning how to cope with that. You know what I mean? It's like learning how to like interact with others and with yourself in this like endless cycle of pain. You know what I mean? Because that's what
Yeah.
life is. Life is just that's what it is, right? So like now I'm starting to discover that like all the things that we learned in the Bible or whatever, the Quran, whatever religion your religion taught you, it's like, yo, man, all the like when I was a kid, I always thought that heaven came when you die, right? But now I'm starting to realize that like, yo, you can bring heaven on earth, you know, even amidst all this hell, you can find heaven. And that's what the beauty of life is that you can find heaven here. You
Mm.
can find it here on earth. And like that's why it's so like it's gorgeous, bro. Like we're warriors. We're always fighting. Every day we wake up, that's a new battle. And it's like, how are you going to battle today? That's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? Like, how are you, what armor are you going to put on? Like, how are you going to be a great warrior today? And that's how I think about every day I wake up. Because my alcoholism is never going to go away. Never. It's gonna be there every day. You know what I'm saying? And now I embrace it. I welcome it as a friend. I'm like, hey, what's up, bro?
Ha 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 ha
What are
ha.
you gonna what do you got for me? You know what I mean? And then like I go on with myself. You know what I mean? I don't think I would have become the person that I am today if it wasn't for my alcoholism. I used to hate it. I used to be like, fuck, why am I cursed with this thing? But now I'm like, yo, it made me into like a stronger man.
Hell yeah. And so like how you said right there, like when my alcoholism shows up, I embrace it and like I know it's there. Can you maybe give us a little like insight into like how your alcoholism might show up or how it might manifest in you, where you're just like, oh, here's that thing again, and like now how am I going to deal with it?
Well, the thing is like it's about the minute that I start like going back into old cycles, like something as simple as like, yo, I don't have enough time to make my bed. I don't have enough time to brush my teeth. I don't have enough time to like get ready. You know what I mean? Like I'm always in a rush. Uh oh fuck, like Just for Laughs is coming up. You know what I mean? Oh, all these people got booked and I didn't. And it's like if I start falling off track of like off of like the values and morals that I give to my higher self, that's when I know that like my other side, my other self is like winning. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, a
Like
hundred. Yeah.
it's trying to get the best of me, and it's simple shit like forgetting to brush my teeth. And I know that sounds gross, but it's true. Like if I don't brush my teeth, I know I'm in trouble because I'm focusing on something else. Like when I'm not focusing on self care, that's when I know that shit is like there at it's doing push ups, and I'm not. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. It's
Yeah,
almost like you're kind of saying like you're not in the moment. You're not living like
exactly.
yeah. Because like sorry, say that again.
I'm instead of being in the moment, like focusing on like the shit ahead, like that's right in front of me. I'm looking at end results. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I'm looking at rewards. I'm looking at the future, or I'm focusing on the past. And that's the problem with comics, or any artist. Is but like I use comics as an example because like that's what we are. We're always focusing on the reward of our journey. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh
we're
yeah.
always focused on like that HBO special, Just for Laughs, whatever the fuck it may be. You know what I mean? But it's like, bro, you gotta focus on what's going on right now because the journey is what makes Dave Chappelle. The journey is what makes Chris Rock. You just don't get there. If we just got there, if we just got to like Chris Rock level, then there would be no beauty in the struggle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And the
Yeah.
joy will be left out of it, right?
Yeah.
No, that's actually a good transition. Like I know I've talked to you about this before, but like meditation, like is this kind of a practice that is important to you?
Yeah, every day I try to wake up and I meditate before I look at my phone. You know what I
Do
mean?
Yeah,
Either I do yoga before I look at my phone.
that's and that's like a big one before you look at your phone. And trust me, I'm having like issues, especially during this quarantine, with looking at my phone first. And I noticed when I do that, it like puts so many bad negative patterns in my head of just how I think. Like I might, even if it has something to do with just like news stories that like kind of like piss me off a little bit, but then it like gets these cycle of like anger rolling through me, which like kind of can sometimes last throughout the day, and like I just don't need that. It's unhealthy.
Yeah, bro. I think like, listen, like phones are fucking legitimately, bro. They're just pieces of trash that we like focus on so much. They bring us so much like security, but it's like, oh man, I can't wait to get to the point in my career where I don't gotta fucking look at my phone. You know what I mean? I got someone to do that for me. I can't stand that I'm talking to you on a phone. You know what I mean? I wish that you and me could be having this conversation in a studio somewhere. That would be so dope,
Yeah.
right? Phones are so like, yo, bro, when you think about it, they're so useless, man. Like we put so much power to them, but it's like, nah, dude, like when I wake up in the morning and my phone's not right there, I feel so much better.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
used to sleep with my phone charging right beside me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's like, oh, I hate it. I hate it. Like now I charge my phone in the other room. I charge it in right. It's not even in the same room as me, and I feel so much more calmer. Like I
Mhm.
honestly do believe that there's like these waves to come out of your phone. I don't know. Like I might be talking like a crazy person, but I honestly feel like my life has become so much better without relying on this like what the plastic piece of I don't know what the fuck it is. Yeah.
Yeah, hey man, I hear you. I'm and like phone addiction, like especially since this quarantine started, it's kind of actually been like a problem with me because you have a lot of extra time and like you're at home alone with your phone a lot of the time. So like, yeah, trust me, it's something I'm starting to worry about and understand. It's like a big thing to like actually consider rather than just brush it off and be like, oh, it doesn't harm anybody, you know. So
Yeah.
so
But
we're talking
also,
about
like, sorry, to that point too, though, right? Like, I do believe everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? I do believe that like phones and social media are designed to make our lives better. Like they're brought here by God or and the universe to like to make things more simple. You know, like yeah, we're in quarantine, but we're able to do this right now, right?
hmm
And like I would love to be in the studio across from you. Like this is still beneficial. You know what I
oh
mean? Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
can't be too hard on ourselves. Like with the phone, like it's just about practicing to minimize it. That's it,
Yeah,
right? Because
and
like at the end of the day, it is something that exists in our world, and there's a reason behind that.
it's a great reason. We're more connected than ever, so I do love that reason. Yeah, I think it's more of just like the reasons I choose to use it. So like if I choose to just scroll through social
Yeah,
media or just dumb like
yeah,
news stuff or like shit like that, like it honestly brings me like more negative consequences to my mental health when I do that. So like those parts, no, but like this part, amazing. Like I love being able to connect with so many people. The other day, like I got all my college friends on, and we're just like all talking on that house party app, and like we're just like all looking at each other and laughing and
that's awesome.
joking around. So like yeah, like I hey, I'm not hating on technology here, but yo, let's get back to meditation because I love meditation so much. You say you do this every morning, which good for you because that's great. So like can you give us like a little bit of insight on like how meditation might have helped with your addiction at all?
Yo, bro, I legitimately believe that meditation like saved my life because I've been trying to be sober for like a long time. It's been like since as long as you've known me, like I've been trying to sober up, which is like I've probably known you, Noor, for like maybe 10 years. That's a fucking
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
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 and
maybe even a little longer. Yeah.
yeah, and in those like 10 years or like whatever it is, like I've been trying to like stay sober that whole time. And I went to rehab, I went to AA, I went to detox. Like I did a lot of special programs and like nothing really clicked in until I started meditation. And so I think I've been practicing meditation for about, I'll say maybe 6 years.
Okay.
And at first, it just felt pointless. It felt like, oh man, my mind is constantly going.
Mm-hmm.
It never stops. It's just always noisy, and like I always feel this fucking emptiness in the pit of my chest when I breathe and I breathe out. So I always like I couldn't do it for more than like 30 seconds. It just was impossible. But the more and more I learned about it, the more I started like being more easy on myself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like my teachers were like, "Yo, it's not about clearing your mind. It's about sitting down and just focusing on that moment. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're just appreciating the fact that you're alive. And
Mm-hmm.
if you come to a complete stop in your mind, amazing. But if you don't, that's fine, right? Like the fact is that you just took 2 minutes even out of your day to sit down and just chill and just try. You know that that's all meditation is. It's about like focusing on what's going on in here. Because today, bro, like during our conversation, we talked a lot of about like external forces, whether it be like jealousy, other comedians, social media, phone, whatever, right? Those things are always going to be there. But when you take a moment to sit down and look at what's going on in here, that's all meditation is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we always picture meditation as like a guru on a rock somewhere, and he's has his eyes closed and he's humming. You know, yeah, that is meditation. But like meditation, what I've learned is that where you just look at what's going on in here, because at the end of the day, that's all that exists. That's the thing that keeps you alive. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Without that, you don't exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
While we have it, while we're alive on Earth, we gotta like appreciate what's going on in here. And I remember when it first started working, you know, I remember one time when I was in rehab, every morning I could meditate for like I feel like 20 minutes. And it felt like I was in a different world. It felt like I was high, bro. It felt like I was on
Oh
mushrooms.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing, bro. Like it was incredible. I felt like I tapped into the universe, and it felt like God downloaded a software into my head where he was like, "Yo, I'm going to give you a 30-day trial." You know? Right? 30-day trial, but after this trial, it's not free anymore. Like you got to practice again. But I feel like he gave me that trial just so I can know that it's real. You know, like that
Mm-hmm.
meditation is real. And I haven't been able to get back there to where I was when like I felt like I could tap into the universe. But my like those 30 seconds I was talking about have turned into like maybe 5 minutes where I
Yeah.
can like sit down and focus on my breath. And like that took like I told you, like 6 years of practice, and it's never ending, and it's like it's helped me. And another thing that has helped my meditation is yoga. Like yoga, oh body, I fucking love it. It connects your mind, your spirit, and your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had Dina Jackson on here. She's a mutual friend of ours. She's a yoga teacher and meditation teacher, and yeah, she was explaining even to me like how like when you're in those poses, they're like designed to actually like connect your body and your mind and like silence your mind, which is yeah, it's a silenced, calm mind is just like the beautiful like fruit of like being able or meditating for like long periods of time when you finally have a little sense of like what a silenced mind is like when your thinking kind of calms down and it's just like such a beautiful feeling. And I know like how you were talking about external forces, like so this is like one thing about meditation I've learned is like it gives you a part like when you look inside and you just like kind of stay there, it gives, like, we talk in like a spiritual sense, like the whole word acceptance, like it kind of just says like, hey, accept those external things, even your thoughts. We look at thoughts as external. So if you have resentment thoughts or resentful thoughts, you can like be like, hey, they're there and I accept them, and I'm just going to be in this moment right now and stay in this moment, and I'm just going to accept that that's there rather than resist it. Because like in a spiritual sense, if you resist something, which a lot of us are, we do that naturally. If we feel any kind of pain or negative emotion, we'll like resist it. And like they'll say, what you resist persists, right? So like if you do have like resentments or any kind of negative attitudes that you want to like hopefully kind of practice to get rid of, like, yeah, you want to accept them and just observe them. Observe how your resentment or your jealousies or any kind of, maybe your cravings, how they come up, how they go, and you'll start to notice that they're actually separate from you. They are external things. And you want to, yeah, and you want to come back to that, what, like, even like a lot of people say that now, the present moment, whatever it is, like that's why we try to have that kind of focus. And yeah, it brings a lot of acceptance and self-love into your life, which I just would imagine is just so needed for somebody when they're an addict, right?
Yeah, 1000%, man. And like you were saying, like that, all those things that we feel inside of us, it's so easy to think that they're part of us. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're in you. But like once you observe them for what they are, that they're just like clouds, that they're gonna go. Everything passes, you know. And like one of the things that I I've come to like a better conclusion with is that our true nature isn't resentment, hate, anger, all that shit. Like we think it is because like it's so easy to like latch on to those emotions. But I feel like our true nature is love, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that at the end of the day, that's always there. And like cause I honestly I don't know, like do you believe in God?
Yeah, I do. Like, and like I would, like my belief would definitely go more into that. I believe in love and the experience. I believe in some sort of interconnection of everything. You know, I do. That's how my belief, and I have come through that belief mostly through meditation and
Yeah.
psychedelics, right?
And I find like God is that. Like, well, I always used to like attribute it, or so, no, I don't know if that's the right word, but I would always like connect it to religion. But now I'm like, nah, man, it's just love. It's just about unconditional love of everything. Because at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, like we always try to separate ourselves from things, people, whatever. But like I feel like everything on this world, in this universe, even the shit that like disturbs us, all comes from love. And it's about like what people do with it. You know what I mean? What people
Mm-hmm.
gift of life. And sometimes it's sad because like we do negative things a lot of the times, right?
Yep.
It's always about being like, oh shit, having compassion and understanding that like this person or that thing went the wrong route. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I know, like when we talk about love, it seems like such a simple thing. Like even like some music, you'll be like, all you need is love, or just stuff like that. And then it's just like it's very hard. Like compassion, like actually having that compassion, it's like something you have to like kind of practice consistently to let it grow inside you, right? Then like love kind of feels like the same way. Like it's easy to have love for people that you like truly do love and your friends and family and stuff, but like to actually have love and understanding for like just like people around you, just even society, like it's hard, especially when we're just so like emotionally triggered by society a lot of the times, that it can like we get taken back into like lower kind of emotions like anger and stuff. And like I know for me, I think like for me, jealousy and anger are like things I've had to deal with a lot in my like kind of my journey, and I still am dealing with them. But I've definitely gotten a lot better and been able to be like a more loving person, which is kind of my goal, right?
Yeah, bro. And it's so hard, right? It's so hard because it's so easy to like, you know what, one of the hardest things for me to let go of is gossip. because like
Yeah, me too. Me too.
this is fun, bro.
It's a lot of fun, especially in comedy, because like how many times have you been on a road gig? So we have to go on a road gig, and you're in a car with one or two other comics, or you're like traveling with them, or you're on like you're doing a weekend at a club with a few comics. So like now you're just sitting there and you just start talking, and then like gossip like naturally comes up, even if it's good gossip, not negative. Like it just comes up, you know?
Yeah, man, it like saves us from boredom a lot
It
of the time.
does.
And because we're comedians, we're good at gossip. We're funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Super good at it. When we start ripping someone apart, it's so funny. You know,
yeah.
but like for the longest time, I tried being like one of those guys that was like, I'm not gonna gossip at all. I'm not gonna say anything negative about anyone. But I feel like I'm not gonna do that no more because it's like sometimes, bro, like if it's out of love and if it isn't because you're covering something or like working on an insecurity about yourself, you can like gossip and like and have it be harmless. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, and the more you like meditate and look inside yourself, you can start actually seeing the seeds of what you're throwing out there. So like you can see when you're
Exactly.
gossiping, like is this coming from a resentful, jealousy, hateful area, or is this coming from something that's less bad? Like I'm not gonna say gossiping is ever really a good thing, but like you know what I'm saying. If it's coming from a area that's more of just maybe just being like a kind of a fun shit talker kind of thing, like which a lot of which a lot of comedians are kind of like, right?
And that's the thing, right? Because like I don't know, I love hip hop, and like one of the key elements of hip hop is battling. You know what I mean? So like when a MC thinks that he's better than another one, he's gonna say it. You know what I mean? He's gonna brag. He's gonna be like, "Man, I'm way better than this comedian."
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah, and I legit think that like I'm better than a lot of guys. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
gonna and if I see some dude who's like boasting or like acting cocky, I'm gonna make fun. I'm gonna make so much fun of that dude. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Right? I'm gonna whip them. You know, like a Jacob Balshin. He's a weak man. I'm gonna fuck him up.
Give Jacob a break, buddy. No, dude, I agree with you completely, and yeah, and like I really think that's the one good thing meditation can help with is like actually like understanding like your actual intentions whenever you're speaking, like is it coming from a more truthful place, and yeah, and hey, if like you said, like why can't like there is such a thing as like a righteous anger or something. Like if something is something that you see that is like actually wrong, like and it brings up anger, but like it's coming from like a place that like, hey, like something's wrong, and like if that anger's acted and you're kind of like you're completely present with that anger, I can see like there's a place for all those kind of emotions as well, right? It's more of like getting those like when you get anger stuck in you and you start lamenting with it, you know, that's when it can like start becoming more of an issue. Um, yo, dude, one person I think I've talked to you about before. Do you know Gabor Mate? He's
Yeah, fuck yeah, bro. That book. I thought I had it right here. I was gonna show it to you, but dude, fucking Realm of Hungry Ghosts. Oh,
Oh, I love that book. That's one of my. I was telling my cousin the other day, like Gabor Mate is gonna be like my the guest I really want to get on this fucking podcast one day. If I get him, I'm like, that's how I know I fucking made it.
bro, that's like that dude legit. eh, And I'm not even just saying this to like be dramatic, but he saved my life because for the longest time I only clung on to like the spiritual side of uh of recovery, which is like AA, higher power, like the group setting, and like for the longest time I'm like, but there's something more, man. Like I need there's something inside of me that is wrong. Like there's something inside of me that like it doesn't matter how many AA meetings I go to or how many recovery homes I stay in, like there's something inside of me I have to understand. There's a science going on in my head and in my body that doesn't allow me to like stay sober. Like I relapse so much because there's something inside of my brain or a trauma or something that may have happened in the past that like keeps me from falling. You know what I mean? Falling off.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read that book, it fucking liberated me. It liberated me because like it made me look back at my past, like growing up here in Canada and like and my uh sorry, like I'm gonna ramble for a second.
Yeah, do your thing. Do your thing.
Because that book really like it fucked me up, bro, in a good way. Like, so like I'm an immigrant. I'm from El Salvador, right? And so my family came from Civil War, right? Like my mom's from a rich side and my dad's from a poor side, and my mom grew up with no dad. Uh, my dad grew up with his whole family, but my mom was never an alcoholic, but her brothers and her uncles were all like severe addicts. My dad was an addict himself, right? Because like he grew up in poverty, and he was in the Civil War. Like they saw dead people, they saw all these things, and then when they had us, they didn't want us to see that stuff. So they moved to Canada. And in El Salvador, my mom was a lawyer and my dad was a journalist. So they had good jobs. But then when we moved here, like they couldn't take care of us. Like they had to go to work. They would work for hours during the day, at night, and my older sister used to take care of us, right? So like back then, I never thought anything of it, right? But I was a young kid, bro. Like a kid wants his parents,
Yeah.
right? A kid wants, no matter how much my parents loved me, there was something inside of my brain that made me think that they didn't because they weren't there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm in a new country where it's primarily white people. And when I would bring this up at school that my parents wouldn't work, my my teachers and like other adults would make me believe that they didn't love me, that they weren't taking care of me. That's not how Canadian families are. You know, in the Canadian family, you have dinner with your family, right? And in my mind, I started blaming my parents for not giving us a Canadian upbringing. But really, they loved the fuck out of us. They were working their asses off. They were janitors. They were doing so much just so we could have like a bowl of cornflakes. But like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff, like really, it fucked me up. It gave me trauma. And like, I never really thought about it until I read Gabor Mate's book. And it was like explaining that environment, like adds so much to like the like to the hardcore addict, right? Like sexual abuse, growing up in a crack house, or growing up with no parents, or like whatever the case may be. That shit will like heighten the chances of addiction, right? And like when I read this stuff, bro, I started crying because I was like, holy fuck, I'm not some fucked up zombie. I like there's a reason behind this. There's a reason behind this, like this stuff, and like it's nobody's fault. You know what I mean? It wasn't my parents' fault. It wasn't my fault. But the fact is that I have this thing, right? And now, and having that knowledge, now it's my responsibility to do something about it. You know what I mean? That's why that book changed my life, because it was like, holy fuck, I'm not hopeless.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, man.
I love Gabor Mate, bro. That's a dream of mine too, is to meet him.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I'll just throw that out there for any the audience who want to check him out. Gabor Mate and the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. I'm reading his other book, When the Body Says No, right now.
I want to check that out too, and I want to check out Scattered Minds.
Yeah. So like this guy looks at addiction in such a different way, and he's just blowing up all over the world because people are just like really. He has a really like he comes from Vancouver East Side, which is like one of the worst areas for like heroin addiction in our country, and he's been helping out with addiction his whole life, and he's having some great results, and he looks at addiction so differently. And
Yeah,
a lot of about it has to do with childhood traumas, which
yeah.
people would sometimes pass down through
And
generations too.
that's not even a speck of it either. Like
Yeah,
the trauma part is like big, but bro, it's also about like some people are born with less dopamine receptors,
yep,
right? So like I believe I have that. Like I was just born that way. It's nothing to do with genes or it running in your family. It has to do with like what type of environment were you born in. And bro, I was born during an earthquake. Like that shit is fucked up.
no way.
Yeah. So my mom was stressed and like that stress came, like it
Yeah,
traveled to me. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
of
So
course, of
I
course.
always, because my brother and my sister don't have addiction. They might in another way, but like they never like went to substances like I did.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, so that book like did a lot of explaining for me. And also that book takes away the fucking stigma that we have against addicts, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Bro, the system is designed to profit off of addiction,
Mm-hmm.
right? Corporations want to make money off of this fucking awful thing that's happening in the world. They just want to make money. And like in the book, he says, yo, we got to stop villainizing the addict. We got to stop jailing them. We got to focus on recovery and rehabilitation. Otherwise, this is an endless cycle. It will never stop. And the only reason it doesn't stop is because y'all are making money off of it.
Yep, 100%. Man, and like such a powerful guy this dude is, and yeah, I'm glad you actually. Yeah, it's actually nice to be able to talk about him with somebody who's actually read his stuff. And I like,
Wow,
yeah, I
you asked me about that. I'm pumped. Like that.
yeah.
That changed my life, bro.
No, man, he honestly changed me, and he also he like helped me like actually kind of understand like gives me almost a mission in my life, some purpose, because like when I looked at him and how he's looking at the world and his worldview, and like I kind of combined it with my like almost my spirituality, my meditation, and how I find meaning and purpose in my life. And honestly, like a lot of that wrapped up into me starting this podcast, and like he's affected my worldview a ton. And like yeah, he's a guy who also talks about a lot about meditation and psychedelics as well, because like he uses those to help people get off of addiction as well, right? Have you, so like with mental illness, like do you like think you suffer from that as well? Like have you ever taken or like checked that out with like a therapist or
Yeah,
like
yeah. So last year, actually, and this relates back to the book as well, like with trauma and um, just like the science of addiction. I always felt like something else was wrong. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't enough for me to just pray or go to meetings. Like and I'm not bashing AA. Like I think AA helps people, but I always felt like there was something more. You know what I mean? So I remember last year I was like doing addictions counseling, and I still do. And my counselor was like, "Yo, does it ever feel that you're only working out one of your arms and your other arm is not being worked out?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, like when you go to AA and when you pray and when you meditate and when you do yoga, you're working out your right arm, right? Or your left arm, whatever." And then he's like, "But your left arm, um, sometimes, like if this is the case with you, if you suffer from depression, you need to work that out too, right? And it doesn't matter how much you do the left stuff, that's not going to help your right
and
arm,
and
right?"
what's the right arm?
So the right arm for me, because again, everything is subjective, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like we all have our own, like our. That's why life is so beautiful. That's why the human body is so beautiful because it's all unique. You know what I mean? So like, um, the part that I wasn't working out was a chemical imbalance in my brain, right?
Okay.
So I suffer from depression, like bad depression. It gets really bad, bro. Cause my highs are like up here. You've seen me when I'm pumped.
Oh,
You know
you're
what I
the
mean?
yeah, we love you when you're pumped.
Shirt off, I'm like the fucking man. You know what I mean? But when I'm down here, oh my God, like it's unbearable. It's like I can't see past like the external shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's impossible for me to see past the smoke, like the negative shit. So I told him this, and he's like, "Yeah, bro. Like sometimes it's as easy as doing the stuff that you're doing on your left arm, right? But sometimes you gotta go do other shit that like a lot of people aren't comfortable with, and like that's antidepressants, therapy, counseling, um, yeah, just things that are seen as like weak in our society, you know?
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, because no one wants to talk. Nobody wants to be on medication.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be seen as crazy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So I started taking antidepressants and like, bro, it like the side effects sucked. I'm not gonna lie. Like the side effects were the worst because like I would get headaches, diarrhea, whatever, whatever. But then once that passed, I like the highs. It didn't take away my highs, but
Nice.
but the lows weren't as low anymore. You know?
Oh, and that must help so much.
Oh my God. And another thing that my doctor, the guy who prescribed me the medication, he was saying that you got to be careful with those highs because like those highs may feel good, but because you have a mind that like a brain that like lacks dopamine
Yeah,
receptors,
yeah.
those highs are dangerous.
Yeah, because they might be like desensitizing you to like almost to your dopamine, like so even like your future lows might go back down, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like your mind attaches itself to those highs. So when it feels something low, it crashes. It goes, "Oh fuck, I need to get that high."
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
yeah, so like I never thought of that. I never in my life would have thought that me jumping on on like a bar at Broken City and taking my shirt off and going like I never thought that maybe that was like harmful to me. And now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, like I gotta chill sometimes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. And
Hey,
it doesn't mean take away your personality or the things that people love about you, but it's about like yo, like take care of yourself. Because even the good stuff, even the good emotions, you gotta watch.
100%. Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, even the good emotions you gotta watch. That's very true. And like, let me just give you some love, buddy, because I've known you for like a while. I've known you when you were drinking, when you were not. Like, you were the one dude. Like, you became sober, and you still had that fucking gusto. You still had that fucking like fun-loving like burrito we all know, and like you can still go and like you love taking off your shirt. You love just joking around and like yeah, like just we know you as that guy, and even like you got off of alcohol, you became sober, and you still had that, and even more, like you had this natural vitality to you that like we could all feel, and like that's also what makes you just an amazing performer. So like fucking kudos,
Thank,
buddy.
yeah, thank you, my dude.
Yeah, no worries. So like, we're almost done here. Let's do a little bit of a comedy talk just because we got to get this out of the way. Man, like so we're like I don't know what we're at now, like maybe 7 weeks or whatever the hell it's been. We're off of comedy and like, damn man, like some people are like I'm hearing like comics like getting really down and shit, like thinking we're not gonna get back to this shit for like a year or two. Like, how are you feeling? Like, well, comedy is just me, man. Like I just can never see myself jumping out of that. For you, I feel like you're kind of on the same boat, right?
Oh yeah, 1,000, bro. Like I you know for the longest time I always tried to like run away from stand up because like there was a lot of pain with like always trying to like seek validation from people. So like I would get into music or acting or like even writing or whatever. So like sometimes I took advantage of how much stand up like actually made me into like a dope artist, right? So now that I'm away from it, I'm starting to appreciate how much like I how much stand up is like so much a part of me, bro. I love it. I loved taking the streetcar to like multiple shows. I loved writing jokes. I love seeing guys like you. Bro, you know what I was fucking thinking about recently is Jupiter, man.
Yeah.
You guys started Jupiter in Calgary, that changed everything. Because I remember I was so mad at James and like everyone, all those old dudes for being like, you can't start another show. You can't do another show because like it's direct competition with Comedy Monday Night or Yuck Yucks, whatever, Laugh Shop, Comedy Cave. So like it was like all it was very like it was all contained, right?
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
I remember being Griffin, we used to start running all these open mics just to spite these dudes, and they would hate us. They would be like, yo, stop running these shitty shows because people are going to think that that's what comedy is. So I would run like so many shows, but they were all brutal. Like they were all so bad. Like names, all that shit. But then I remember when you guys did Jupiter, that was the first show that everyone was like, oh, this is this is how you do it. You know what I mean? Like this, like that show was the second show. It officially
Yeah.
became the second show in Calgary that people loved. You know, and like that show, bro, made me dope. Like that show made me like when I saw that Oak Tree close down, I got so sad.
Yeah, me too, buddy. Me
Yeah, like
too.
it broke my heart. But that's what I'm talking about. What I miss the most is like all the history that we've been a part of, bro.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Like, we have been through a lot of history, and like, no, I don't think this shit's gonna fucking end or anything. I think, I don't know. I'm like such an optimist. I think comedy will be coming back eventually. I don't know when,
Well, bro,
I'm gonna be there.
I'm on the
Fuck
same
it.
boat with you, man. All these motherfuckers who are like, yo, it's not gonna be the same for like 2 years. Perhaps it will never be the same, right? And in my head, I'm like, bro, people are stupid. You know what I mean? Like, people are quick to forget. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
the minute that like it's acceptable for people to go out, I think comedy and live performances in general are going to be the first things that people want to see, because now people are, especially like with this abundance of like fucking Netflix and all that shit, like people want
Oh,
to see a real life show, man.
Oh, actually, that's a great point. I'm already getting tired of like just like watching media and stuff. Like I'm like I love like hey, I love watching movies. I love watching television or like even funny stuff online, but I'm just getting tired of it just because like we've been in this quarantine for so long. So that is a great point. Like when that shit starts up, people are going to want to get out and see some stuff. And like comedy has like such a the one cool thing about comedy, it has like such like a human connection to it that where you can like actually like kind of tell like your actual feelings on something and you can see somebody's actual perspective. And like yeah, I think people are gonna love to come and see some live performance and be like just a few feet away from somebody and be like, all right, let's see what your perspective is now that you haven't been on stage for so long, and let's see if you've grown and learned or any of that shit. And yeah, like
Like
I
sorry, the only thing that I think is gonna be like affected is like the business side of it, right? Because like Just for Laughs or like other major festivals, like they they can't happen the same, at least this year, because of the sponsorships. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things are canceling, so like um it's going to be hard to like have festivals like that for a bit.
yeah,
Also, like comedy clubs, what if they can't pay the rent? They might not exist. Like Oak Tree, like
yeah,
it got shut down. But that, even still, even with that kind of like those kinds of obstacles, it will never ever kill people's love for art.
I agree completely, man. Yeah, and you're right. Still be some obstacles, but it is one of those things that's gonna come back, and yeah, I'm gonna be there. Have you done an online show at all?
Yo, I have, and at first I loved it because I'm like, fuck the audience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like because I went up there with so much confidence, and I'm like, blah blah blah. But like, even though I appreciate the online shows, like it's a good way to like practice still, to
Yeah,
like try new stuff. But nothing will ever beat a real show, bro.
yeah. No, I agree. I did a couple of online shows already, and yeah, like it was nice to like actually feel like I'm doing comedy again. So that was amazing. But yeah,
And the best
oh
part
man,
too is what day is it, bro?
Sunday.
Yo, you even had to look. I had no idea what day it was, but I think I'm on a show tonight. But anyways, yeah, dude, like, when I did the online shows with my friends, like let's say if my friends were in the Zoom or whatever, that was fun because if I saw that I was making them laugh, like that was dope. That was a sick feeling.
Yeah, and that's actually the cool thing about Zoom. Like, you could actually see some of the people, and you're like, "All right, I'm getting some laughs here. This is good." The one thing I did one with on Facebook Live, and I didn't even know there was a message thing. So all I saw was myself, and then on the top there of the screen, there's just an eye with like how many people are there.
Yeah.
And who I that was kind of soul destroying because it sucked if you like said a punchline and then all of a sudden, like the number of people watching goes down. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
that's a good joke. Come on.
Yeah, that's the worst.
All right, bro. So this is it, man. Dude, I fucking love you. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you.
So like, I really want people to check out your blog because like your writing is like has so much like emotion and realness to it. So let people know where they can check you out.
Yeah, it's on marito.lopez .wordpress.com, and it's called The Revolution of a Papi, El Diario de un Borracho.
That's such a burrito name right there. I love that. All right, dude. I'll add those links, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Love you, my dude.
Love
Please